Hey, awesome. Well, thank you all for being here today. I know it's been a couple months since the last time we were all together, and springtime has come and things have changed, and a lot of work has been taking place during the course of that time. So, today, what we want to do, we are the Business, Workforce, and Education Subcommittee. We've been kind of combined some of our groups or two of our former committees into one, so we can our collective voice really represents that aspect of the work with the California Sierra Jobs First initiatives. My name is Andrew Gardner, and I am working on behalf of the Sierra Business Council to lead some of these, to join the leadership team to lead some of these efforts, heading up the workforce business education subcommittee and working with the team to do the strategic planning and preparing for our April retreat. And as we head in to the summer, making sure that we are engaging our communities and getting the voices heard and represented throughout the region. With us today, we have Magnolia Barra, and she's representing the East Side, and Kara Bechtel, she's on the West Side, and we have Eric Robbins with us, and Erica Harvey, I believe, is with us as well, and some other representatives from Sierra Business Council to help support our meeting today. On the agenda, you should have the agenda, and we have some background information. If you haven't had a chance to look at the Sierra Jobs First website through the Sierra Business Council, I highly recommend that. That's just got a lot of those talking points, a lot of the direction and the vision of what we are all here to do during this process. And it's a great reference. I have it bookmarked on my computer, and I'm often toggling to it and saying, okay, what is that? Where is that? Who is that? But it's a great resource for all of us. Certainly, as we're working in our communities, that's also another website to direct people to learn more about what we're doing here. Okay, well, to get us going, I was hoping I could get some volunteers from the field out there to share a little bit of some successes or celebrations that have been happening in your world throughout the region. So I'm going to open that up to any brave soul that would like to share something that is happening in their county or in their work as it pertains to our California Jobs First initiatives. I could call on some people if I need.
I can share real quick. On Monday, we had a sector partnership meeting with a subsector of the natural resources industry. It was a logging specifically. And the logging segment has very different needs than other forestry focused sections of industry. And so we were able to gain some intelligence that'll help us with our projects with California Jobs First. And also we're meeting again later today with Columbia College and industry partners to talk about curriculum design. So we're continuing to move forward in shaping curriculum for the needs of industry. So continued advancements in those areas.
That's great, Amy. Thank you. I mean, that's definitely right up the alley of the what we're doing here, right, with our subcommittee. So thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. Great work. Anybody else? A couple more, maybe? And East Side, do we have a voice from the East Side? No more brave souls out there? Can I get one more? No brave souls, huh? Okay. Well, I will share that I've been working with the Amador Community College Foundation and the Amador College Connect, and their vision and their purpose of the organization is to connect students to community college programs to do job training and help our students here in Amador County kind of get a leg up. We're an hour and 15 minutes from Columbia College, so it's very hard to access those programs. So that organization does a great job of getting kids enrolled, informing our community about these opportunities, and getting those kids that chance to earn some community college credit and get some work-based learning in there to help prepare them when they graduate high school and beyond, so that they can have a bit of a competitive advantage out there when they leave our county, or what we hope is that they stay within our region and contribute to the economy there. So good job, Amador Community College Foundation. Okay, what we want to do here today, the bulk of our work is going to be in breakout rooms with some essential questions that relate to what our tasks are as a subcommittee. So just a little background to help kind of ground us a little bit here. We are here for the California Jobs First work, looking in job creation, industrial strategy, economic development initiatives to create a greener and more equitable economy. And in our Sierra region, Eastern Sierra region, we are working to build a community climate forward economy that works for everyone in our region, particularly those from disinvested communities. So with that kind of focus in mind, the subcommittee role, our role, right, is to assist in inventory of existing businesses in Eastern. We got some more people coming in. That's awesome. Existing businesses in the Eastern Sierra region related to the priority industry sectors. So we know we have community health, sustainable agriculture, sustainable recreation and tourism, natural and working lands, and energy resilience. So those are the 5 priority industry sectors that have been identified in the work so far. Identify areas in need of investment to support the regional strategic plan and new high road job business development, and then identify existing programs to leverage for funding, technical assistance and infrastructure development, and identify needs for new programming or investment to meet the needs of high road industry sector businesses. So that is what we're here to do. I would add to that, this meeting in particular, we are about 3 weeks away from our most exciting April HRTC subcommittee Eastern Sierra Jobs First workshop in Kings Beach and Tahoe. We hope everybody is able to make that, and certainly want to help you if you're on the fence about that, help you make that decision and get you there. And that's what we hope to do today, is kind of prep for that, a lot of the work that's going to take place during that time, and so we can all come in kind of prepared and equipped to really advocate for workforce development, business and education initiatives in the strategic planning process. Any questions about our goals or what we're here to do? Okay, so just a real quick recap of where we're at. These graphs you have probably seen before. They were at the being displayed and presented in all of our meetings from the strategic planning team. This is the framework, right? So the check mark, this is what we have accomplished. This is what we are what we have been doing, and we are moving into the strategic planning framework and co-creating plan with partners. So this is kind of where we're at in the pyramid here, with the April workshop being our real critical juncture to have everybody in the room at the table actively working and participating and collaborating to get these goals and strategies and regional representation on paper that will now inform these next pieces to the framework here. This next graph is kind of the timeline. So and we are kind of in this area here, trying to put all this together. So the strategic plan is due August 31st. And with all of this work that we're going to be doing today and in April and putting that strategic plan together, that will then drive all of this. When we get that funding, we'll drive those projects and we can start really thinking about the HRTC. The council will start, making decisions about where to prioritize the funding so that it meets the needs of the Eastern Sierra region. And then as we kind of look ahead in our work today, just wanting to put this visual in front of everyone because this kind of lays out what we're doing, right? So if you look at the bottom, we have our 5 priority sector areas that I mentioned earlier. And so we want to create goals and strategies around that. And then on top of that, we want to create regional goals and strategies that are kind of broad based, like how are we going to implement and help support these 5 priority areas. We want to have real specific outcomes. What do we want this to look like in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years for the next generation? We're in this for the long haul. We have all been engaging and living in the area for all the great things, but we know that there's a lot of potential here with our resources and our people and our communities. And so we want to make sure that we have some strong outcomes, not only for our futures, but for the futures of those that are going to come after us. And then all of that, right, we'll think about our core values as a community and a region and our vision and our guiding principles that will help us along the trail to success. So I'll stop there real quick. Any questions on these 3 graphs? Can clarify anything? I know these have been kind of presented along the way, but I'm here to help understand that if we need. Or if anybody from SBC would like to add anything to them.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. I'm Shauna Doherty, and I'm one of the strategic planning consultants. And what I wanted to add to this is April is really the kickoff to our formal engagement in the definition of the goals and strategies and project ideation that will ultimately go into the strategic plan. And so April workshops, we're this morning, we're working on getting an email out to all of you with an overview of the agenda and how to register and what to expect. So that should be in your inbox either today or tomorrow. But what I also wanted to stress, another thing that's going to come out is all the different ways you can plug in to this process. So yes, through the normal pathways of the subcommittee meetings, and then this meeting, we're calling it a strategy workshop that'll be a day and a half on in April 25th and 26th is really an amazing way. But if you can't make that, we're going to be offering in-person and virtual opportunities for engagement in the defining and refining of these goals and strategies, and roll that out to you in the next week or so. And there'll be in-person meetings on the west side and the east side, and there'll be some industry sector focus conversations. And so in short, there'll just be lots of opportunities to plug in over April, May, and June. And then July is really going to be about like taking all the feedback and drafting that plan. What we heard is you want more time to review the plan. And so our goal is 3 weeks is our goal to post it and provide public comment. And then it'll go back to the council/HRTC for final approval before it goes to the state. So we don't have that graphic yet that will show the dates and all the different ways to plug in, but that's coming to you shortly. And look forward to seeing hopefully all of you in April. It's going to be fun.
Thank you, Shauna. Any questions for Shauna? Everybody wants to be outside today, not stuck on a Zoom call. I bet is so nice. Okay, well, thank you for that. And of course, we'll all be here for the next, hour doing our work. So if questions do come up, you drop them in the chat and we'll make sure that we um, respond to that. So getting into the kind of the bulk of our work today, right? So we're in the strategic planning phase, which kicked off in January, and just to give everybody a little bit of a sense of the dynamic. A lot of new people, including myself, came on board during that time. So there's been a big learning curve for a lot of us. Most of these people I've never met before, so we're all getting to learn who each other are, who we are, and what our roles are, and really developing team dynamics and vision and working together to facilitate these meetings. So it's been pretty exciting, and I just know as we move forward, we got a strong team and a strong vision for success. So very exciting work. Um, our job today then is to kind of collaborate around 4 questions. So these are the questions for the day. And what we're going to do after we kind of review these is Eric's going to break us up into 4 breakout rooms, and then we're all going to be working on the same document. So all of our collaboration is in real time. We can see what everybody's writing. We'll have about 30 or 40 minutes to do that. We'll rotate through these questions, and then we'll come back and we will be able to see all the responses, and then we'll kind of bring it into like, okay, what can we draw from that? Where are all of our unifying messages, our common themes, our common threads? And then that will then inform our work going into the April strategy workshop. All right, so that's how this information today will be used. In April, those will guide a lot of that collaboration there. So this is our prep work to start that conversation, to think about what some of these things are, where our growth areas are, where our strengths are, and what we'd like to see at the April meeting. So our first questions, that we'll do in these breakouts, what are your expected outcomes for the strategy sessions in April? So working in your breakout, just, yeah, I'll be there. This is what I hope to get from it. This is what I hope to be doing during my time when I show up. This is what I'm looking forward to. The second question, where do the region's workforce, business, and education initiatives and strategies that are working well? What Amy shared as a celebration at the beginning, I think, is a great example of that, right? Just people coming together, groups, organizations coming together to create these partnerships with industries and education programs to really accelerate those types of things. And then where are the growth areas, right? Where are the disconnects? Where are the gaps? And where do we need improvement? And just kind of really calling those things out, right? Because we're not going to be able to grow and create a strong regional plan to address those gaps unless we can really define and identify and define what they are. And then the last question, as we begin the process of defining strategies, we would like to ask this group to help brainstorm some of the workforce and business strategies as part of the prep for the April session. So it's kind of a follow-up to question 1, like with a little more specifics, right? We would like to see this type of thing come out of that work in April, right? So we kind of informing us so that we can set the stage for that work. With this chart in mind, or this visual, right? So we are looking at just kind of doing the foundational work in which we will begin to the building of goals and strategies around these with a workforce, business, and education kind of idea, right? From that space. Any questions about that? So I'm not sure how many people we got on the line, but we'll have at least one SBC facilitator in the group. And what we'll do is, instead of everybody working on one question, if you see somebody already working on question 1, just go to the question 2, and then if somebody's working on question 2, go to question 3. So, and then we'll rotate every 8 to 10 minutes, and then you'll just add to the conversation that is already there.
We've
Any
got
questions about what we're going to do for the next half hour? Eric, are we in?
We've got multiple facilitators with connectivity issues. Welcome to rural California. So I've only got us in 2 breakout rooms, but
Okay,
I will open those, and I will be in room 1. Magnolia will be in room 2, and you should have the power to float, Andrew, or I can move you if you ask me to. So
okay, and I'll have the document up so I can facilitate from that as well.
okay.
Thank you, Eric.
So
Okay,
good.
we'll see you guys in two breakout rooms. Thank you.
Hi, Tawny. Are you there? Did you get a message to join a breakout room?
Eric, my Wi-Fi dropped. Can you put
Okay.
me in breakout room?
Yep.
Thanks.
For the mother lode region, Alpine, Amador, Calaveras, and Tuolumne and Mariposa, we have really strong working relationships with education and industry, in priority sectors that have already been defined. So we have already the relationships in place, the mechanisms to move projects forward quickly, working with Brandon very closely on a lot of different projects, including healthcare, natural resources, and all the industries that tie to those, including the climate resiliency piece, which is a result of, woody biomass, the biofuels, and bringing those companies in locally, and then preparing the workforce for when those hires will need to take place, creating the curriculums that the region needs, and identifying the skill gaps from the talent that already lives here in our community. So there's a lot of creativity, a lot of problem solving already happening that California Jobs First will be able to quickly expand upon and help us to demonstrate we have a good strategy in our region. So we're looking for, we have some meetings with Elaine scheduled soon for the east side on how we can collaborate and use the models that are working here over on the east side, knowing that from now on, California will distribute regional money through these 13 regions they've defined through this project, this grant. It'll only benefit everyone to continue to strengthen and create the relationships across east and west side. So I don't want to monopolize though. Brandon,
that's
do you want to
great.
add?
Thank you.
Well, and I'm sorry, I've got a finicky camera right now, but no, I think you said it great there. I guess I would just add one of the strengths also is the SURF grant that we have for the K-16 and having a number of projects, particularly in the healthcare area with Dignity and Adventist and all of our K-12 partners that we would be able to leverage.
Absolutely. And that'll help us grow our own. So have that sustainable pipeline.
Awesome. Thank you. Other strengths?
Hi, this is Elaine. And I technically sit on the project identification subcommittee. I mostly attend these just because I want to hear the conversation as part of the larger process. So I'd love for my colleagues on the east side to also chime in with your perspectives. I certainly don't want to dominate it, but just adding to what Amy had said, since it's relevant. On the east side, Sarah Coso has established, which is our JC on the east side, has established two programs that will offer certificates and advanced certificates and AA degrees in forestry and sustainable recreation. And those will start in 2025. So that's sort of the grow our own strategy that we are developing on the east side for workforce development. And that will support some of the efforts that we are just establishing for wildfire resiliency and fuels treatment, primarily in Mono County, but also looking to expand those efforts into Inyo County as well. And so there's a workforce development initiative associated with that, though we don't have a well-established workforce development board presence on the east side. So we are really sort of building these partnerships out as we're developing the projects and identifying partners right now. And so we're really looking to California Jobs First to help incubate and accelerate some of those initiatives and partnerships.
Awesome. Thank you, Elaine.
Andrew, this is Frank. Hello? You hear
Hi,
me?
Frank. Yeah, I got you.
Okay,
How you doing
sorry.
today?
Hey, I apologize that I didn't chime in earlier when you were asking about some success stories. I was hoping that College Connect personnel would have been on the call to make that announcement. But anyway, we are very pleased to have been being involved in a K-16 program where we will be mentoring folks in conjunction with Columbia College and Amateur College Connect to get them some on deck experience with networking and fiber optic splicing, heavy construction, equipment operation, networking, what have you. So we're in the process now of developing what we think would be beneficial to the program and our company. And then Andrew, as you know, we'll be meeting with you. I'm hoping probably next week sometime to lay out the details for a memorandum of understanding. So we're really excited about that. Another thing that the team here should be aware of, and I imagine many of you are, because I've talked about it before, but we will be involved in non-California Jobs First programs, but they're still coming through the federal government and state government to build middle mile open access fiber infrastructure in Amador and portions of Calaveras County. And then we will be building a Trans-Sierra route, which will go over Highway 88 and bring Alpine County some much needed fiber backbone to Markleyville in that area. And then that route eventually will terminate and intersect an existing route, which is on the Eastern Sierra called Digital 395. So we will end up connecting to that. So some really exciting stuff. We're from our company's perspective, we probably have more than we know what to deal with right now, but we'll have to sort through that. So some very positive outcomes here.
That's great, Frank. Thank you. Love it. Never really been watching my clock, but maybe if we got one more, any other strength out there that we can add?
Yeah, sorry, it's late again. Just holding up to you said a little bit. We also have a couple of a digital fiber backbone called Digital 395 that runs parallel to 395 from Reno to Ridgecrest through the Eastern Sierra. And we have a couple of grant programs being run through our broadband consortium that will be expanding fiber to the premises. So that's something that we are working on the east side as well.
Let me chime in. The Digital 395 was a great program. It started at Barstow and it was continued on to Reno. I think it's right in the process now. The state is going to take ownership of that fiber. It might be, 6 months or a year, but that's going to be a paradigm shift. And I think more people might be able to hook up to it then. And then on the biomass, 20 years ago, we talked about biomass. It was like a non-starter. But now I think the environmental groups have started to come around where they actually see where we might have to do some forest clearing. So I think this is really a positive change in the next 10, 15 years to get some of the slash out of the forest and use that for the biomass program. I know a couple of biomass programs have started before Northern California, but I think they finally just dwindled down to nothing. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. Those are great. Great successes, great strengths.
One more to add, the Central Sierra Economic Development District did get awarded a grant also for middle mile broadband. So that'll be coming across the 5 counties that we cover as well.
Grant.
Just to get by and avoid, reality. So that's it.
Yeah, thanks for capturing that. It's definitely important. James.
Yeah. So, kind of going back to with what Tom was saying, and I think it also plays into with what John was saying, right? I think that if we're looking at the growth areas that need improvement, I think it would be a huge miss to not, highlight the fact that we need greater infrastructure. Right. So, I mean, the situation is that without the water, power, sewer, we can't put in new schools. We can't put in new dormitories. We can't put in those things. Whether or not we can address those issues with, grant funds or support projects that put jobs there, all of those situations will lead to high road jobs, whether it's, through the construction, through the folks that would then be implementing the infrastructure, maintaining it, things like that. So I think it would be great to include it at least point it out, because a lot of that will hinge on that. And so that is my bit of tidbit for that.
Thanks, James.
James, what would you say is the biggest barrier for updating that infrastructure, like the municipality's infrastructure?
Well, I mean, when we were just in our, Tuolumne County Economic Development meeting, we were kind of, discussing some of this. And then there's, I mean, there's a lot of different, reasons as to the why behind it, right? But I mean, the thing is that sometimes the public doesn't necessarily exactly support growth for the region. They want to stay a small town forever, and it may not be exactly sustainable. So the messaging around it, right? Another, situation is that you have different special districts that are in control of different areas of infrastructure, and their capacities are limited due to funding or various other reasons. But I definitely think from a regional standpoint, both east side and west side, this is something that needs to be talked about, because I think that our reasons on the west side may be slightly different than some of the reasons on the east side, especially as it relates to like the land tenure, things like that. Different areas may have greater freedoms as it relates to plotting their own path towards developing these needed items.
I can give you two specific ones.
Sorry, could I jump in here real quick? I apologize, Tom.
No problem.
The Zoom breakout rooms got a little lopsided. Could I ask for an East Side volunteer to come over to the other room with me to try and diversify the conversations a little bit? Do we have any East Slope folks?
Sure, I
Robin?
will. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sorry for
Okay,
interrupting.
well,
Are you our only East Side folk? Who else is from the East Side?
Is Aaron over here?
We've got several others here. Aaron,
Okay.
Jennifer, Tawny. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay, yeah,
Sorry,
so I
folks.
leave-
Thank you.
You all
So I
tell
leave
me
the
where
meeting?
you all tell me where you want me.
Yeah.
I'll go wherever.
Stay with us. Let's see. I'll pop.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. I want to
other-
talk with you later.
Okay, yeah, of course.
Other gap areas for improvement, where are we seeing some things? I would like to add, just as, I mean, we certainly a growth, or a strength is the Eastern Sierra K-16 Pathway Program. What a great opportunity for all of our counties here and our young people who I strongly advocate for, every day. But I just would like to see that continue to grow and more of those opportunities. And how can we continue to build more partnerships with our community organizations and our community colleges? We have a stakeholder here in Amador, who every time he shows up to the meeting, he couldn't be here today. He is on this committee, Steve, who always advocates for like an industrial arts or a trade school, where those kids that aren't going off to academic programs can enter into a real skill specific program and get apprenticeships and get hands-on training in some of these industry things. So I'm gonna write in kind of speaking on behalf of one of our committee members, industrial arts and trade schools. Other ones to share? Other areas of growth? It looks like the other team's killing it on that one.
Andrew, I think Robin had a comment, has her hand up.
Yeah, go ahead. Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you, Shauna.
Yeah, thank you. I just popped over from the other group, and on the subject of the community colleges and the education opportunities, what I was saying in that other group as well is what I'll share here and just maybe just ask. I'm not sure how you feel about how strong the partnership is among all the community colleges within our serve district, sorry, our Jobs First district. Because I feel like one of if there was some larger network with exchanges, better counseling, maybe even dormitories or some other sort of living situation where students could look beyond just the community college that's right there in front of them in their little town, but maybe like, oh, I could, someone in Bishop could be like, hey, I could go over and try out this Amador thing. But I'm not sure how much interaction there actually is right now and whether that could be strengthened. Because, one of the things I was sharing is just I have high school age kids myself, and yeah, dorms that and I just see a sense of hopelessness, like they feel stuck and isolated, and it's exacerbated by the smartphones and by COVID and the way they've, come out of this like bizarre societal time that we've been in. And it's really easy for them to get physically stuck at home. So.
Mhm.
The
Yeah, I've heard
education,
that a lot, Robin. Go ahead.
the education standpoint, we've had a few young employees that go on to the university system, and we had a conversation a couple of years ago of what they thought the background lacked coming from this area, and I think somehow doing a survey, a questionnaire for some over some of these students. They stress the science was real weak, the math skills was real weak. And when they got to the university level, it was a stress for them to keep up for the first couple of years. So I think we live in a rural area, and it's hard to get some of these elements. I remember, when we didn't even have Sierra Costa, we didn't have the school in Mammoth. We didn't have a school in Ridgecrest. So now we're a long ways down the road. But we advocated in the old days of Ridgecrest, for a four-year university, and I think that might be something that we could really strive to push for, a four-year college in our area. We have China Lake Naval Weapons Center, which is a major resource for the Navy. They could do a space program. A lot of stuff is tied to Edwards, from China Lake and Edwards. So we have the professors that would be available. We just need to pressure the state, to see if we can't add a four-year school in the eastern side somewhere.
A quick time check, Andrew. It's 10:46.
Yeah, thank you. And I don't know, it looks like the other group, they've been on the areas for growth the whole time. So I don't know, maybe you could push them into one of the other questions. And if anybody has another one for the areas of growth, I'd like to move to the first question and talk a little bit about our expectations for the April workshop. So I'm going to move up here to the top. And we're all working really hard, the SBC and the contractors strategic planning team, to really make this an exciting and useful and productive time for all of us. It's going to be the first time that we can get everybody in the same room at the same time and really kind of put that Sharpie to paper and really have those a collegial and a positive conversation. And so this is an opportunity for us to really kind of shape that day and think about what your needs are and what you would like to see when you walk away. I always start, in education. I was a teacher for 10 years and a principal for 10. We call it backwards planning. Let's start with what the people want or what we want them to know and figure out how to make that happen, right? So that's kind of how I approach this. So you're going to show up on April 25th, we hope. And what is it that you would like to see that day? And when you walk out that door at the end of that session, what do you hope to walk away with?
Well, I won't be able to be there, but James will. So we'll have representation from Motherlode. I'm hoping that maybe, and I'm not sure if this is possible at this meeting, but to have some groupings of the types of projects that have come across, some kind of way to identify where gaps are, maybe at least if we can present groupings to industry and education, they would be able to see, okay, well, we have a solution for this, and then we just need this piece to make a movement forward in this area. So I'm not sure if we can even get to that level yet, but I think that because of the intelligence that's come in through projects, that would be a good way to see what's possible. For example, just these conversations we're having right now with the mention of, biofuel companies. We know of some that are starting up, and we know of some that are almost ready to start. They just need a little more capital. So those companies will come in as soon as this piece is added, kind of thing. So understanding what's poised and ready, and then what it needs just to get across the goal line, and things like that. Also understanding like the broadband projects we're all engaged in, that's a piece that California Jobs First can't cover. However, understanding that we're going to need the people to work on those projects and create the good jobs, that'll come in through those projects.
Well, I could add, if you go through the 5 sectors, like healthcare, it sort of follows the same program as the broadband. We have a limited population base, so that means limited money going into the hospitals. During the summer, we have a tourist season. We add revenue there because of accidents. So we have an emergency room that's functional during the summer, but not during the winter. And then sustainable recreation, I think we've got a ton of programs that we've been working on for the last 30, 40 years. I think that out of this whole lot is going to, it's going to survive. Working landscapes, you look at Inyo County, and we have limited access to public land or land that we can actually use and do something with. So I think we're about a 2% of the land mass. And the land mass that's available for improvement is in the south end of the county, and very little representation comes from the south end of the county. So from Melanchia all the way over the Nevada state line, there's land available, but very little population. You get to the Shoshone, Tacoma area, and you're close to Nevada. At one time, Nevada was thinking about building an airport close to the Sloan, the town of Sloan. That would have really helped Southern Inyo. And energy, we have, well, on the east side, we have 2 geothermal projects. There's a lot of potential for more geothermal, a lot of potential for solar, a lot of potential for alternate energy. We worked on a program for a few months called algae. So we could use algae production for fuel. So energy, I think, is going to be okay. Last Friday, we had a meeting with the Ag Commission for Inyo County. We're talking about the repeat of the 2009-2010 livestock feasibility study for a mobile slaughter unit. We're back at the same place in time. We have 2 distinct groups of people: the people that want to move forward and the people that are, fixed with what they do now. It's successful for them, and it's going to be a hard shift to do something. We could do poultry, we could do agriculture, we could do produce. A lot of these things we could do, but at the same time, we run into this paradigm between these 2 distinct groups of people. Not negative or positive. That's just a reality, and I think that's the reality we got to start to face. Is what is available once we start to introduce projects. There's like a solar plant. You start talking about solar, and then you're going to have the opposition come out of the woodwork. We know solar is a potential, Same with geothermal, you know, these projects, when they finally come to the ground, you know, at the street level, that's where we run into the discussion that just stagnates for months or years at a time.
Well, I
Bob or
mean, it's like
Coughlin?
to add to that though, I mean, it's, you know, I am in Mono County and it's like, you're not just gonna fight for land, you're gonna fight for water. So when you start talking about like poultry and cattle and produce and solar does require water. It's like, and all this stuff, you know, good luck. Because, you know, you have to, those things did exist 50 years ago here. And they disappeared because DWP came in and took the water rights. Everybody sold to them. So, you know, yeah, we have
When I
plenty of
think
water,
about,
but are they going to give it to the
thanks, Ken.
farmers? Probably not.
And thank you, Ken. Thank you for joining us today. It's good to see you again. I know it's been a while. So as I listen to that conversation, I'm just trying to kind of think about how we can address that, what that looks like in April. What kind of strategy or activity could we do to help facilitate kind of some of those challenges?
Get water and land.
I think that I'd love to see coming out of the meeting on in April, more like collaboration building between between the different sector industries and between the different partners.
Right.
I think something else too, Brandon had mentioned in the chat that the dorms work really well with our forestry core that we're doing. We were able to write a grant that just paid for cohorts of people to go through these training programs and they stay in the dorms. We could do that possibly with California Jobs First, is pay for cohorts of people to go through medical training at Columbia, just stay there. Anyone from across our 7-county region would qualify for that grant, that funding, just stay in the dorms, have the dorms paid for, start creating that pipeline of talent. And then we just met with Health Force Partners, which is a group that works to bring in funding for medical programs. And they're going to be coming to our May 20th health industry sector partnership meeting and doing a presentation. So that is another point of sustainability. So like Elaine said, bringing in these collaborations, these resources that exist, and then tying them all together to make a strong plan on how we can move forward and benefit the whole region.
And I just also maybe want to underscore something that Doug was saying, which is that it's not exactly an answer to this question, but he brought it up, and so it was something I was thinking about, which is that forestry is not really going to be an economic driver for all 7 counties because so much of Inyo County is not forested. And so I think it's also important to also be looking at maybe, you know, workforce development and project initiatives and business initiatives to help support some of those other sector industries. And so specifically looking at things like sustainable recreation and interpreting that through the broadest lens of what those opportunities would be for supporting businesses. And I know that Inyo County had submitted a letter to this effort, you know, saying that sustainable tourism economy in Inyo County is going to be linked to community revitalization efforts and investing in making our communities destinations, not just our enormous and incredibly beautiful backyard.
Yeah, agree. And doing the cohort model of paying for dorms could be in all of our target sectors for specific trainings that are designed to meet those objectives. That would be great.
Yeah, and I think the ones that come to mind with the areas that are covered by this project, again, Amy, like you said, healthcare, we've really expanded that. I put in the chat, you know, can do patient access, phlebotomy, CNA, home health aide, medical assistant, EMT. I'm sure there's others I'm forgetting about, but we could always kind of do some contract programs around nursing and things too. But then obviously we have a hospitality management program here as well in that recreation area. We have some other things that overlap recreation with our forestry and natural resource programs, like rafting guide classes or things like that. And then, yeah, obviously forestry and natural resources with both the natural resource forestry side of things, but then also wildland firefighter training and things like that too. So Amy's right. We could definitely set something up where folks from the 7-county area could come here, get housed here, do kind of short-term occupational training, probably a semester or a year, and then be able to go back to their areas and put those skills to work.
Okay, any other ones there? I know we're kind of getting into some of the industry stuff. And so, I think when we come back, we'll be able to kind of look at all of our notes and come up with some of these common themes around what we're looking for. But great conversation. If there's anything burning, we have a few minutes here. I want to go down to the last question, which maybe can help guide that too. As we begin the process of defining strategies, and I think we've already talked a little bit about this, we would like to ask this group to help brainstorm some of the workforce and business strategies as part of the prep. So I guess the way I interpret that question is, what would be an example of a workforce, business, and education strategy that could be written into the strategic plan to guide this whole process in our region? So maybe just some examples of strategies that maybe we could begin to kind of mold and develop into the strategic plan.
Well, I think taking the K-16, leveraging K-16 and the youth high school co-enrollment models that Columbia is already doing, and the schools expanding it across all schools that are doing that. And the K-16 was focused on healthcare. So that'll be a really easy point of leverage to show the state that we are making best use of your money. We're taking the kids that are benefiting from K-16, creating these pathways into next level of college, and then going into whatever, work-based learning programs, whatever certification programs to help the healthcare industry, and then the employers, leveraging these state pilots we have coming in that are going to show the gaps in our local talent across the region, show what types of training we need just to get them into those next level good jobs, and then helping, pulling in all the resources around healthcare that there's a lot of projects going on right now to leverage all these different funding sources and then maximize our impact on the region in healthcare and strategic planning. That's a good example of bringing industry in, bringing education in, and then doing the pipeline from high school through into those different openings that are hard for our hospitals to fill.
You wonder also, Amy, if there's an opportunity for us to do some replication on the east side. We focus kind of on the 4-county area here, like at Columbia, I have to admit, but Forestry Corps and the healthcare program that we've done with Mother Lode job training are such great programs. I just wonder if, being an advocate here for the eastern side, if there's some way that we could kind of replicate some of those efforts over there where people would be able to, get the same type of advantage and,
that would be perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. And the Forestry Corps is great because a lot of those students, whether it's here or at other community colleges that have instituted the program, they're able to get that training and then move right into a job with CAL FIRE or the National Forest Service as a wildland firefighter in the summer. And, we have a lot of areas where those jobs are in demand. So whether it's, here or, Reedley offers the program, maybe there's a way to get more people enrolled into those programs so that they can get into those jobs right away.
Right, and then also the heavy equipment operator as next level, because everyone can benefit from heavy equipment operators on the east side or west side with different
That's a great point.
land clearing. Yeah. Robin.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Yeah, so I mean, listening to you guys speak and to what Brandon just said, maybe an overall strategy could be to take, you know, what is beginning to work, like what you guys are working on, and the strategy being, okay, let's get everyone here from all the counties and talk about how to export it or grow it into the other counties.
Mhm.
It
Because
doesn't,
K-16
yeah.
has east side too, healthcare money for the, so sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But like that kind of model is like, okay, here's something that's working. How do we expand it? Just in terms of the strategies for the meeting.
And one of the things that we've done, this might not be a great example because it's in the same district, but one of the things that we've done here at Columbia is while we're developing our programs, like while we were developing our CNA curriculum, MJC offered their CNA class on our campus. And, you know, with the idea that we were going to be developing our own curriculum, and we've developed our own and sent it through the state now just recently, state approvals, but maybe there's something we could do like that, where it's like, you know what, we have our logging operations class, equipment operations class where people learn to use heavy equipment, or we, you know, have our wildland firefighting classes, and we come over there and offer them in the summer when the weather's good, while Saracosa develops curriculum of their own classes like that or something. You know, it probably wouldn't be a great FTS generator for us, but in terms of, because of the fact that we have a grant like this, you know, we can do things that are creative, like, okay, we're going to split the cost of instruction where, you know, some of the cost is going to be paid by the grant and some of it is going to be paid by the college, and then we can still claim our apportionment for that. And then we'd get people trained on the east side during the summer to do those, be a wildland firefighter or be a heavy equipment operator or something. So I think there's opportunities to explore, you know, creative partnerships. Yeah, I think it's a great point, Robin.
So it's 11:06, and it was a great conversation. But for out of respect of time, I'd like for all of us to come back, and I'm going to leave this on here so we can see everybody's response, and then we'll all kind of work on what those kind of common themes are. So Eric, if you could bring us all back to the main session there,
okay,
and we'll see you there.
Doug and Brandon, are you there?
I think and there's so much great work that's already been done. I think it's important for us to realize that there are a lot of people long before I arrived have been, you know, dedicating their professions and their lives and their energies to a lot of this work already. So certainly want to um, acknowledge all the work that's come before us. So we take all this great stuff, right? Here we are together in this moment, and we talk about how we can really kind of continue to launch this and make growth, economic growth in our region. So what I would like to do, we can kind of reflect on our responses here. Are we all good, Eric?
Andrew, the other room hasn't arrived yet. I wasn't able to give them warning, so I think they're still finishing out.
Okay.
So give it 60 seconds and then they'll be here.
No problem. Thank you.
While we wait, one other thing is for forestry to add those pipelines into the high schools. That would be another great advantageous thing that this grant could facilitate. The model is already there. It's been done. It's just not funded. So we've worked with the Forest Service and the recreation side of things to give kids work experiences. And so that would feed into recreation. So back to you, Andrew.
Thank you, Amy.
We're all back now.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. You missed my best speech ever when the reunification here, but anyway, we had a great conversation. I'm sure the other breakout room did too. I just wanted to acknowledge all the great work that has been taking place long before I arrived, and just knowing that we acknowledge that, and just so many people dedicating their lives and energies and professions to many of these things. And so we take where we are today, right? That's why we're here. We want to build on what's already happening, using this opportunity for funding to really build and expand and continue to make that growth in our region. So what I'd like to do from now is we can all see everybody's responses on the first question, our expected outcomes for April. Just we can kind of go through here, and then what I would like to do is just come up with like what are the common threads. So 3 to 4 common threads. These don't need to be specific around an industry sector or a particular kind of thing, but just as we come out, here's what we want: 2 or 3 things, 3 or 4 things that we hope to walk away with in April.
We don't have the document up, Andrew. Should I share my screen or?
Oh, yeah, my screen's, yeah, if you want to share that, that'd be great, or I could share it, I guess.
1 second.
Awesome. So this is kind of all of our work. Maybe just we could just kind of scroll lightly, slowly scroll through it. Everybody can kind of see what the remarks were. I didn't get a chance to look at group 2 here. So concrete structure, rubric around catalyst, framework that's going to look like scoring for projects, alignment with SEDS, more framework, understanding of the sectors, crisp 1 to 2 pager per sector, preliminary analysis of the catalyst, investment proposals, identifying where there is cohesion between east side and west side, strategies related to long-term funding. So Eric, since you're doing the doc, can you maybe just kind of record? We'll just kind of, when we look at that, what are the common themes?
Anyone?
Oh, I'll jump in and just say, given where we are in the process, I'm really resonating with finding the where the East and West have a common issue that we could develop together. I think that would be interesting to see if we can find some of those. And then if we can't, that's fine, because then we can bifurcate and focus on specific reasons why that might be the case. But
I'm seeing some cohesion around industry sectors and the project ideas that have been submitted, and starting to parse out how different projects might fit with different industries, and then how that also fits with state requirements. Looks like both groups talked about that a little bit.
I think we may also share in the issue of how grants play out, both in terms of maybe having to have temporary funding in order to obtain access to the grant. Uh, and then the long-term issue, which is grants sort of become the catalyst. So the catalyst becomes a second catalyst, but then at some point you have to have sustaining funding. So how do we build initiatives and programs that also carry on sustaining funding, if that's what's necessary?
Maybe one or two more. Any other ones out there that's just kind of glaring? I see. I think we should call out structure, right? I saw concrete structure. Um, I see a rubric, right? So just maybe the development of some benchmarks or measuring tools, rubrics.
Yeah, Aaron, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you wanted to kind of elaborate on that idea, go ahead. I am kind of putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do my best. I feel like there's a layer or two or three beyond what I can say here in 15 to 30 seconds. And I can maybe try to do some notes and send that along. I mean, it just seems like we're all kind of moving at different speeds. And those of us that have been engaging with the initiative for like 36 months, it just seems like sometimes we're meeting and kind of starting at the beginning, which is okay. I think just more meat on the bone in terms of like what is what are the considerations that are going to advance the framework considerations that are going to advance our understanding of the sectors and our ability to collectively weigh on the sectors and the projects that have been offered forward. I mean, it seems like Catalyst is a great use case for us to really think about concrete actions that are possible. So that all sounds kind of lofty, but I mean, I do think we can start to really look at like, you know, what would it look like to start to look at one proposal and weigh at the end of the day. I mean, it's a prioritization exercise, right? Like we may need to adjust what the proposal looks like. But you've got to have some way to kind of think about these things alongside each other because and there may be enough funding there to fund most of it. But it, you know, just getting, you know, moving the conversation along to where we start to really be able to, again, collectively like make some of those determinations. It's hard.
No, I think that's important, and I think that, I mean, a lot of the information I've seen along the way, I think a lot of that exists. We just kind of got to get it in one place. When we think about like equity or disinvested communities, and like when we think about a project, making sure that all those projects are going to meet that criteria. And so, those would all be things that would kind of go into a measuring tool or a rubric, right? When we look at a project, does it meet this? Does it do this? Will it, impact these communities? And so I think that's a really important point to make. I know we're kind of getting down to our wire here, so I'm gonna move on to the next strengths. So what are some common themes here? We talked about Amy shared from the Motherlode Job Training Center, just strong relationships with education and industry. The Eastern Sierra K-16 grant is off and running. programs, just kind of community college programs in general are tied to our industry areas. And then the group 2, they talked a little bit about tourism and visitation. Efforts have been productive and effective growth in our ability to deliver healthcare. So healthcare comes up quite a bit. We all know that's a pretty big priority area across our county. Transportation for the West, good things in forestry, biomass. I see biomass. We had a great conversation about biomass. Today, we also had one in our county cohort meeting not too long ago. So with that, I'll open that up. Maybe if we can get 3 or 4 common themes there.
I think that a lot of the common I saw you put your hand up, Brandon, but I was already talking. Anyways, I think that a lot of the common themes within that sector or that section of the question hinge a lot around training and education as it relates to developing pathways that support the priority sectors. That definitely jumps out as a common theme. I definitely think it also jumps out as a common theme of where, while there are great programs in place, those programs' capacity could be increased. They are lacking. And so that is a common theme.
Yeah, great, Brandon. Thanks. I think that we could probably just put that in both strength and a growth, right? We've got great things, but we can continue to grow them. Other common themes? I would say just to kind of expedite the biomass. I think we see a huge growth opportunity in the biomass sector, and to really leverage that. I mean, we talk about jobs, we talk about fuel reduction, wildfire resiliency, climate change. We can get a lot of bang for our buck by investing in our biomass reduction and recycling systems.
Brandon, I think your hand is still up.
Yeah, and I think I'll put in the comments. I don't want to derail us from the conversation we were in. I just had a thought about the Tahoe meeting, and just as Andrew was talking a little bit about opportunities that we would have there. And one of the folks commented on looking at a proposal more in depth and considering a proposal. I guess mine was just a clarifying question as to whether in Tahoe we might be looking at individual proposals, or if we might be saying for this area, forestry, healthcare, whatever it is, looking at all the proposals and saying, okay, well, here's all the ideas we have. How can we leverage this and create here's what we're going to do to move forward in this area? Because like, I know we might be like, oh, forestry corps works great, and we want to get funding to expand what we're doing so that we can train people to do fire fuels reduction or become wildland firefighters or whatever that is. But it might be there's 4 other proposals that could be related to that, and we're like, oh, well, we don't need to do this if you're going to do this, or CHIPS is doing something, or someone's doing something on the eastern side. And I'm just not sure about the process when we get there, about how is it going to be looked at like on a discipline or a topic, like we're all going to get together and say, here's all the proposals on this topic, how can we leverage things to accomplish it? Or is it going to be like, we're looking at this individual proposal and seeing the merits of that, I guess. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to sidetrack us. I just had that thought. So
it's a great question, Brandon. And we're, as we talk about, and we're at like almost meeting every day about planning for this, right? Making sure that all these things. But we do know that everybody is really excited to look at all that project tracker ideation that's been submitted. I think there's 100+ things. So we definitely want to carve out some time where we all have a chance to really look at those, put them together, who falls where, how big is this one, where maybe we can combine a couple and just really engage in some active manipulation and collaboration around around those project ideas.
That's
No
great.
doubt that comes
I-
up all the
I
time.
may have missed that previously too, because I haven't been, I'll admit, I haven't been, I see in the comments, they said, yeah, we were planning to do that clustering, so I haven't been super conscientious about making sure to read through things, so that's great to hear. And I know, you know, we've been pretty conscientious about that in the K-16 grant and making sure that the less populated areas of like the Eastern Sierra are still making sure that, you know, we get their proposals in and we consider them and how they fit together with the other stuff that's being done. So I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You know, has anybody really addressed the, you know, potential for opposition to say you want to build a biomass processing center? You know, it's an environmental process. Has anybody looked at the opposition?
Yeah, that's what I'm in the middle of right now. So I'm thinking whoever figures out a model that works first is going to be really popular. Yeah, particularly for biomass. There are a lot of layers to that.
It's not an easy solution. We had a individual come in, oh, maybe 20 years ago. He had $800 million. A process that would turn that biomass into electricity for public use, and we couldn't move it forward.
There's
So
there's
go
some
ahead.
good
Sorry.
yeah, there's some good efforts, and there's my Doug specifically, but there's some good efforts happening up in Mono County, and they're bringing in a lot of funding, and one of the components of funding is doing permitting in CEQA and outreach. So there's some momentum on the east side with that.
We may need some money to defend ourselves against litigation. If frankly, I hate to say that, but there are a lot of barriers to getting this done. Getting materials out of the forest is a huge problem.
Yeah. I would add one more to this, and just, I mean, in a lot of my work and people I'm talking to and things I'm researching, we have a lot of potential for funding in workforce development. I see a lot of grant funding for apprenticeships coming down the pipe through the foundation of for the community colleges and through the state, internships. You know, I think that we're just going to see a lot of funding and resources allocated towards this. I am attending the regional career education plans, and a lot of this is focused around, we're going to be like sending a lot of funding down the pipe to continue building workforce development. So programs, because we just see this, you know, dire need and this gap between, you know, what students are graduating with and their ability and preparations to either go on to post-secondary programs or enter the workforce. So I would say a strength is more funding. Okay, areas for growth. Just as we come down to the wire here, strengthening communications. So I think what I've heard so far, right, the East-West really kind of articulating, strengthening those communications. EV charging stations, that comes up quite a bit in a lot of my conversations. Water, wastewater management, utility management, infrastructure, financial aid, just kind of slowly scrolling here. Public assistance subsidies, well, we have a lot here. So I know we're kind of coming down to the wire, so if you need to go, you know, we certainly respect your time, and I think you know, I can continue kind of working on some of these kind of themes and then share it out. And I can share this where if you have something comes out after this meeting, you are still able to contribute to the document. As we, so I'm going to kind of go in, we keep that up at our last few minutes here. If you could send me an email or drop in the chat or send Eric an email if you plan to attend in April. It's going to be really important for us to have a good head count of who's going to be there. So if you got the room, but you haven't confirmed, or if you confirmed and you haven't gotten the room, because those are really the only two areas that we can track attendance. But like I said, we're really working hard to put a great day together, and it's going to be important for us to have, one, a lot of people there, and two, you know, to have an accurate head count so we can plan accordingly in terms of supplies and food and being able to put people in good, strong collaboration groups. So just send us, and certainly if you have any questions, feel free to email any of us, and we can help you along the way. So with that, I'll open it up. Any last minute questions or comments or things you'd like to share before we head off? And again, I will continue to work on this document, and you will have access to it, and you can continue adding, and then we'll share it out. Eric, if there is a way, I know people are dropping a lot in the chat. If there's a way you kind of copy and paste that, and that way we have a record of the chat, that would be great, and then we can make a note.
Yeah, I get the chat file, so I can check it after the fact.
Oh, great. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, well, it just turned 11:30 on my computer, so a great conversation. I really appreciate your engagement and everybody being here. We had a great cross section, I think, of industry and workforce development and education stakeholders today. So that really lends itself to a great collaboration. And I know we're all working towards the same end. We will see you in April. And again, if you have any follow-up, or if you want to talk about anything, feel free to reach out to me or anybody. I'd be happy to set up a one-on-one or a small group meeting anytime along the way. Our next big step, our next big spot where we'll all be together will be the April 25th meeting. So we will see you in Tahoe. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Andrew.